Before I moved to California, and I thought about California, what did I think about? I thought about our parks, extraordinary parks. That was one of the things that made California unique. The respect it had, and the love it had, and the protection it afforded to our natural resources.
Receiving the award really represented the sense of satisfaction that I was able to be part of the effort in the legislature and getting the California voters to approve a measure which would have a lasting legacy for the people of California. So that's what the word legacy really means, is that our kids and our grandkids and future generations will be able to enjoy the natural resources in the state parks that we were able to secure for posterity.
It was a wonderful coalition of people who not only had been involved for many years on state parks, but had also joined with preservationists at other critical junctures of our state who believed strongly that there was a process that people had to follow. You don't just run a road through a state park kind of willy-nilly.
It's wonderfully nice when you're either a public sector leader or perhaps a nonprofit leader or volunteer, to have somebody say thanks for what you did, thanks for your efforts, and acknowledge some leadership in this environmental domain.
It means a sort of a closer tie with the advocates, because as a legislator, you actually don't get a lot of feedback. People don't come up to you and say, how wonderful that you're trying to save the parks. Maybe one or two when they really know what effort you've put in. But in this case, it just makes you feel like somebody's watching.
Well, we've been in the trenches working on this fight to save state parks now for several years. So this award really provides a little extra inspiration, a little extra energy at a time when we just have to come together and finish the job.
Well, you know, I think the awards like that are always an honor, especially from groups like the State Parks Foundation, where you have a lot of respect for what they do. So for the work that they do, they're really the ones a lot of times you wish you were honoring.
As park advocates, we need to be informed, we need to be organized, and we need to be assertive about what our priorities are, preserving and protecting our state parks.
I look at the foundation as being sort of the conscience, if you will, of the people of California as it relates to parks issues. So they're always at the forefront advocating for more parks, better parks. Certainly we have a maintenance problem in our parks with a huge financial backlog of repairs that are needed.
It's a place that nature made and that man has decided to preserve. It's sacred, and I see that whenever I go to a park.
And I think what the advocates have done is to really bring this notion out into the limelight, that the parks, not only are they important, but they're threatened.
I think park advocates have really helped send the message that parks are different. This is not just a line item in the state budget. And we have a lot of very important line items in the state budget, but in tough times, you know, sometimes we have to make tough choices with some of those line items. Sometimes we have to do things we wouldn't otherwise want to do, but parks are unique.
This great treasure that we have, if we didn't have advocates who work so hard on behalf of state parks and the foundation as a whole, then we would essentially just be saying it doesn't really matter.
There's always the risk of being too urbanized and never having an open space park experience. And so that's something we have to avoid, particularly for urban kids who may be less mobile and less able to get out to the country.
In minority communities, a lot of times there's not a lot of appropriate open space for young children to play and to appreciate what that means to have park and recreation. Recreation, as you know, comes from the root word recreate. And the parks are a place that you can go, you can always go to recreate yourself and to think and to get back in tune with nature.
We need to keep that as part of our heritage and what we pass on to future generations, that everybody gets to enjoy the true nature of California as best as we can in a state that already has close to 40 million people and has really paved over a lot of paradise.
There was the chairman of the Senate Appropriations Committee, Patrick Johnson, who made a special effort to help me get coastal protections and acquisitions into the bond. And I asked him, I said, so you're from Stockton, how come you care so much about the coast? And he turned to me and he said, there's no coastline in Stockton. He said, it's all of our coastline. People in Stockton need to go and enjoy the coastline as well.
We preserve that legacy for our children. It's not just for us, it's for our children, and we can't give that up.
You know, whenever I think about state parks, or whenever I have to make a speech out in front of the Capitol to support a bill or talk to a rally, I always try to tell people our California state parks are everybody's backyard. We all need to protect them. We all need to think about them as though they're right outside our doorstep, because as our state grows, they become more important for more and more people. I haven't met a state park I didn't like.